It's Nightside with Dan Ray on WBZ, Boston's News Radio.
All right, we're going to introduce you now to Paul Peters. Paul Peters, welcome to Nightside. How are you, sir?
Doing great, Dan. Thank you.
Paul is a workplace expert and owner of a company called Covenant Case Management Services. And we're going to try to answer the question, I don't know if we can, if anybody can, it'll be Paul. Why are so many Gen Z employees electing not to climb the corporate ladder? It's called Gen Z's conscious unbossing. Let me be very clear for our audience. The first Gen Zer was born in 1996. So the oldest Gen Zer now is about 28. The youngest Gen Zers, 2012, they're only like 12 years old. So maybe there's some hope for the young Gen Zers. I don't know. What's going on, Paul Peters?
Well, I think a lot of it, and thank you for letting me be on your show. I think a lot of it is I have three Gen Zs, my kids, so I kind of grew up in it. A lot of it is they have basically observed what it looks like to be in a boss mentality or a management position. And they're like, it's really not worth the money that you're going to pay me for me to work extra to climb the corporate ladder that, from their standpoint, doesn't really reach what they're wanting. And so I think it's just they're basically rebelling and say, that's not what I value in my life. I don't want that kind of success.
So if, hypothetically, they were a minor league baseball player or a really good college football player, and one of the coaches said to his Gen Zers, you know, you could get better if you spend a little bit more time in the batting cage, or maybe you do work a little bit more in the weight room, these kids are going to say, nah, I don't need that. I mean, everybody has to work a little harder when they're young. I guess I'm a boomer. I've done nothing but work in my life. And I don't understand that mentality. I truly don't. Is there a way to understand it?
There is. I'm actually a boomer myself, so I totally understand. We grew up with the mentality, you know, if you want to succeed in life, you climb the corporate ladder or you climb the ladder for leadership so that you can make more and be more successful. They view success a little differently. Yes, they want the same amount of money that we all want, but they have a more creative approach. You know, most of these kids grew up in a very technological, and they can use their skills and technology to climb, quote unquote, the corporate ladder without having to submit to the restrictions of an outdated managerial style. So I think they've chosen, I don't want to do that. It's not going to bring me the same sense of value and success that it brought to the baby boomers or Gen X's. So.
Okay, so the question then is, where are they going to be 20 years from now?
Well, to be honest with you, I think as an employer myself, I'm looking for people who fall in line with the culture that I have created. I think we need to be very creative in what we're offering to Gen Zs. If we can offer something that has the work-life balance that they're looking for and provide a culture that is enticing for them, I think we can entice them to climb that ladder as long as it's within what they consider valuable. But I think they're going to be fine. I think they're basically trying to find their own way, and we have such a vast array of different types of work people can fit into that, you know, working remotely. Coming out of the COVID environment, we have so many different opportunities for Gen Zs to be successful, you know, entrepreneurial and typical other jobs that are available out there as well.
So it sounds to me that I'm, as two boomers here, I'm sort of scoffing at them and saying, go for it, you know, do your own thing, you know, contemplate your navel or whatever, and it'll all work out. It won't work out. I mean, you gotta. Now, again, if you're not interested in climbing the corporate ladder, that's I guess a lifestyle, you know, and maybe I don't know. I don't understand it at all, to be honest with you. When I was in college, I worked one summer cleaning toilets. Okay, it wasn't the most glamorous job that anyone had in that particular summer, but it's one of the jobs that I'm the proudest of, to be really honest with you. You know, no one, you know, gave me a summer internship where I could, you know, wear a suit and tie or a jacket and tie and think great thoughts. You took whatever jobs were available. If you grew up in the, you know, I didn't have a better opportunity, to be really honest with you. I wasn't in any way, shape, or form connected to anyone. And when I think about it, just to me, it's a strange posture to have during that period of your life when you don't have a lot of responsibility. Most of those kids are not married at that point. This is the time when you should be able to work a couple of jobs and have a side hustle and all of that. But I guess they don't want that. They don't want that lifestyle. So it'll be interesting to see how it works out. Do you think you do think it's going to work out okay for them? Because some of them have technical expertise that maybe us boomers don't have, and we have to rely upon them more than maybe.
Right. I mean, every generation goes through the same challenges. The next one moves into a position of leadership. Like I said, I have 3 kids that I'm extremely proud of. Gen Zs have done very well. I think it really has everything to, and I'm an advocate for mentoring. So if someone like myself and like yourself can take a Gen Z, mentor them, and give a sense of value, give a sense of respect, but hold a higher standard, they're going to want to eventually, I don't want to say they're going to embrace everything we do as baby boomers, but they're going to embrace when they feel respected, valued, and you appreciate what they're bringing to the table. Just because they're young, just because they don't think the way we do, doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have something valuable to contribute. And I think when they feel valued, they will provide the necessary input that's going to make them successful. And myself as an employer, will be successful as well. I think it's just giving a little to get some, but never compromising your standard. And that's something I've never done with my company. Is I've raised the standard, but like I said, we brought in some cultural experts to really help us think in regards to the Gen Zs and the younger generation, how they think differently in the work environment. Like I said, we came off the COVID where work-life balance was integrated. And so whereas before, like you and I, we were just so used to going to work at a certain time frame, clocking in, clocking out. That is not today's world anymore. And so I think they're looking for, I can do a lot more in less time. And if I'm doing it properly, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, I got to tell you, as a dad, I coached hockey. I coached a Little League baseball. So I made time, and I was a TV reporter at the time. So I had a pretty full schedule. I like to think back to the, to what we call the greatest generation, when most of them were 18 and 19 years old. Many of them were in a ship off the coast of Normandy in June of 1944. I don't get it. I got to be honest with you. I'm old school, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that there are good people like you around who are more open to their predilections. I guess that would be the word I would use here. I hope it works out for Gen Z.
Some of it's out of necessity. The younger generation are eventually going to be taking care of us. So if we don't pour into them a little bit, so that they can make sure that we're taken care of, and I think that's important. We just have to understand, like the previous generation has to understand a little bit about that next generation. We have to do the same, and I think you're going to find there's a little bit more commonality than we think.
I sure hope you're right. I sure hope I'm wrong, but I'm not convinced yet. Paul Peters, thanks very much. How could folks get in touch with you for any advice, guidance, support? Give us a website.
They can find me on paulpeters.online.
paulpeters.online. Online. I've never heard that that connection.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it very much.
Okay.